In this video, I'm going to be reading a story about Eyeless Jack. Except, there's a twist. He's also a cat, like a werecat or something. I don't really know, it's pretty random, but I hope you'll enjoy the story anyway. If you want to see more content from me, make sure to subscribe. I upload new videos every week. The Cat with No Eyes. I'm writing this because I don't have anything better to do. Because I need you to know the truth. And because it's the only thing that he'll let me do. What happened is so bizarre, paranormal, and illogical that I can't think of many people who would believe what I'm about to tell. I'm a writer for a very demanding editorial. I had just finished writing a great self-help book, but it had some mistakes, and I had been ordered to fix them and resubmit my work 1 week later. I had always been a huge animal fan, and I'm not in my hometown. I came here because of the main office of the editorial is in this city. I'm only on a trip and came from far away, so I wasn't able to bring my pets. I'm staying at a small apartment with no company, and I was heading to a pet store to get a temporary roommate so I wouldn't feel so alone while I did the editing. On my way to the place, I ran into a cat, which strangely had no eyes. Oddly, it didn't make me scared. It even made me feel pity for it. So I decided to take it with me. I regret doing that now. I took it to the vet to check he wasn't sick. He just had a small infection on his leg, but it was barely showing up, so it was easy to cure. In the vet's room, it was easy to notice that I was the only one who wasn't disgusted by the animal's situation. I never named it, both for not having the time and not wanting to become too attached to it. Once in my place, I let him play all over the apartment. Despite being blind, it knew exactly where he was and how to move around. That didn't strike me as strange at the time. All I thought was how sassy the poor animal must have felt. While he was playing, I started fixing the first mistakes of my book on my laptop. After that, I went to sleep. Everything was normal. It wasn't until the next morning when everything began. Believe it or not, when I woke up, in front of me, I was looking at the ceiling, was a man staring into my eyes, standing next to my bed. Or at least, that's what I thought he was doing, since the man had no eyes to see me, just a pair of empty eye sockets. I screamed like any normal person would. I was paralyzed. Then the man drops to the floor and starts walking on all fours, struggles into a corner, pulls out a notebook and a pen from his bag, and starts writing. I was brave enough to raise my head. The man didn't react. Little by little I stood up, taking advantage of his concentration on his notebook. I approached the door and tried to open it, but there was something under it, jamming it. I tried to pull it out, every time more desperately, but nothing happened. I got near the window. It was covered with a lot of notebook sheets. I noticed they were the drafts where I had first written my book. A few light beams came through, barely enough to light up my room. I tried to remove them, but they were perfectly stuck. I turned around, and from the corner, the man was staring at me, with the creepy inner darkness of his eyes. I was scared and shivering as I made an effort to say, "Who are you? What do you want from me?" I got a loud meow as an answer. That made me think a little. I looked around. The man still staring at me, with his non-existent, fixated and penetrating stare boring into me. I couldn't find the blind cat anywhere. That's when it hit me. That thing that was unceasingly looking at me was my cat. When he noticed I knew what was happening, he got near me. I desperately tried to get out of his reach, but to no avail. And he snuggled up to me, purring. I was about to cry when I saw he had fallen asleep. I tried to think of a solution, but I couldn't do anything. If I moved, he'd wake up. God knows why, I fell asleep. When I woke up, there he was again, in his corner, writing in his small notebook. He stared up at me every now and then, just to keep on writing in his book. I stood up, this time more confident, since I had noticed he wasn't planning to hurt me. I was hungry. Then the panic came again. I was locked in my own room. I wasn't able to get out to the kitchen. I didn't have anything to eat. While I thought about this, I heard a soft grumble. It was the cat's stomach. Both of us looked at the same point, his belly. Then he stared at me with a dark, penetrating look. I told him, half stuttering, I can't go out to the kitchen. Maybe if you let me out, we'll be able to eat." After hearing this, he looked at my face for 2 seconds, and then went back to his notebook. I thought and looked for other solutions, but there weren't any. I was, and still am, locked in here with him. I could only think of one thing, that someone must rescue me in less than a week. The editorial would notice that I never showed up, and they would try to make contact with me. I wouldn't answer. They would call the cops and they would break in here. If the cat was able to become a human, or humanoid, or whatever that thing is, it will be able to go back to being a cat. Then it will seem as if I'd just locked myself in my own room. And the cat will walk out, all innocent, and trick someone else. It is at this moment that I begin to write this. So when they come in and find me starved to death, they'll read it and do something with that damn cat. It's been 3 days since I last wrote. I'm starving, and he is too. But he won't do anything. He just keeps writing, looking at me, as if he was analysing me. I'm his experiment, his test dummy. What does he want from me? Why is he doing this? Am I the first one he's ever done this to? I want to go out. I want the cat to get away from me. But I can't do anything to him. I wouldn't change anything. I'd still be trapped in here, even if I did kill him. I must play along, finish his test. Maybe then he'll let me out. Maybe then I'll be free. I just have to wait. Let him finish. Not worry, and keep calm. I'm on the edge of madness. Help, please. Help me. I don't want to be here anymore. Help. Text found next to a body inside the apartment. The body was found on the bed. On top of it was a black, eyeless cat. The body was missing pieces of skin. Under his hands, there were flesh remains. And the creepiest part, it looked like someone had torn his eyes out. The cops, before reading this, thought stress drove the writer mad, enough to lock himself up and feed his cats and himself his own flesh. The notebook found next to the corpse suggested something else. As soon as the cops broke into the room, the cat turned around and looked at them with the deep darkness of his empty eye sockets. He stared at one of them, and oddly enough, he was the only one who wasn't possessed by panic. He took the cat in his arms while the rest searched the place. When everyone left, and before anyone could read the diary, the cop headed straight home with the cat. There has been no news about him or his family for more than 4 days. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed the story and the drawing. You may have noticed the video quality was a little bit different. I recently did a sponsored video and I put the money that I got from that into buying a new camera, so I'm hoping it looks better. It'd be a waste of money if you couldn't tell the difference, but maybe I just need to learn how to use the camera better. Anyway, I'll be back with another drawing video next week. I'll see you then. Bye.